video. So today I am going to be doing my April wrap-up video. So these are the books that I read in April. I actually read 12 books, so pretty good month. And I'm not going to get into really detailed with some of these. More than half of these I'm going to actually have a review up for them soon in the coming up weeks. So I'm not really going to get into much of these books since I'll have a review coming up, but I will talk about some of the other ones in a little bit more detail. So first off, I'm going to start off with the poetry books that I read this month, because I actually finished 6 poetry books, collections of poems. So for April, my book club read a poetry book, and it just really got me into wanting to read more poetry. And so I have 6 poetry books, collections of poems that I read in April that I will talk about, and I will do a separate review for all the poetry books that I read in April. I'll do like a poetry collection review with all these books in it and kind of talk a little bit more about them then. But yeah, I will just show you which ones I read. So the first one I'm going to show you is the one my book club read for April, and that is Milk and Honey by Rupi Kaur. And this was actually, I think, the Goodreads Goodreads winner for poetry for last year, I think it was. So yeah, this is the one my book club read. I really enjoyed this one. I loved it. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. In the back, I will just read you real quick what it says. It says, "This is the journey of surviving through poetry. This is the blood, sweat, tears of 21 years. This is my heart in your hands. This is the hurting, the loving, the breaking, the healing." So it's broken up into 4 different parts, which, like I said, it's broken up into the hurting, the loving, the breaking, and the healing. The healing was my favorite part. There were so many awesome lines in that section. I just absolutely loved it. And then I'll just read in here. It says, "Milk and Honey is a collection of poetry about love, loss, trauma, abuse, healing, and femininity. It is split into 4 chapters. Each chapter serves a different purpose, deals with a different pain, heals a different heartache. Milk and Honey takes readers through a journey of the most bitter moments in life and finds sweetness in them, because there is sweetness everywhere if you're just willing to look." I really enjoyed this. Like I said, I'll talk more about it when I do my poetry collections review, but there are just some awesome lines in here. I highlighted a lot in here. The next one I'll show you is Maya Angelou's collection of poems, and I love Maya Angelou. I love some of her poems. 2 of my favorite poems by her are actually in this collection, which is Phenomenal Woman and Still I Rise. Those are probably 2 of my favorite poems by her. So this is pretty much just a collection of a bunch of different poems by her, and some of them I really enjoyed. I highlighted in here too, but I'll go into more detail when I do my review. I did really like this. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. So the next one I'll show you is The Princess Saves Herself in this one by Amanda Lovelace. I saw my, I think I talked about this when I did my April haul, but my friend and I were at Barnes & Noble, and she actually got this book, and I was looking at it, and I decided to pick it up and start reading it, and so I got it, and I read it, and I gave this one, I think I gave it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I did enjoy it. I really liked the message that was in here. It just took a little bit to get into the writing format, the way it's formatted. So, but I mean, it's easy to follow, easy to read. It's not that big of a deal, but yeah. I'll talk about it more again when I do my poetry collections review. So the next 3 poetry books that I'm going to show you, they're all by the same author, and that's Lang Leav. And so I've got Love and Misadventures, and I believe this is her first book that was published. And the back says, love is a game of tic-tac-toe, constantly waiting for the next X or O. So yeah, that's her first one. And then, although I kind of read these out of order because I didn't realize that was the first one. So the first one I read was Lullabies, and this I think is her second book she had out. And the back says, time. You were the one I wanted most to stay, but time could not be kept at bay. The more it goes, the more it's gone, the more it takes away. I read this one first and then I read Love and Misadventures after, and then I realized, this is the second one, and that was the first one. Not that you have to read it in any order, really, but you do see like the progression of her writing when you read them in order from the first book, second, third. You kind of see how her writing grows as her books go on. So, but you don't have to read them in any particular order. And then the last one by her that I read was The Universe of Us. I think this is her third one or fourth book, but I think it's her third. The back says, he and I collided like 2 predestined stars, and in that brief moment, I felt what it was like to be immortal. So this one was my favorite one that I read by her. This had a lot of poems in here that I really loved, and I gave this one a 5 out of 5 stars. So those were the poetry books that I read in April. Next, I'll get to the novels, the books that I read in April. So the first one I'm going to talk about is 3 Dark Crowns by Kendare Blake. I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I will have a review of it coming up soon, so I won't really get into it. Like I said, I'll do a review soon, but I will kind of read you the back because that's what really got me wanting to pick this up and read it because it sounded really good, cool. So I'll just read the back real quick, and it says, 3 dark queens are born in a glen, sweet little triplets who will never be friends. 3 dark sisters, all fair to be seen, 2 to devour, and 1 to be queen. So I really like that little poem in the back, and it's in the front of the book at the start of the book. And so that's what really made me want to pick this up and read it. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Definitely can't wait to see where this story goes and what happens in the next one. So I'll talk more about that in my review. After that, I have Entwined by Heather Dixon. And this is a retelling of the 12 Dancing Princesses. Sad to say, I did not really like this one. I gave it a 2 out of 5 stars. I really wanted to love it because the cover is just so pretty. It's such a beautiful cover. And I was hoping to really love it, but it just further proves the saying, you can't judge a book by its cover. So I love the cover. It's gorgeous, beautiful. I wish the inside was just as beautiful, but unfortunately it's not. I was just bored with this one a lot. Like, it took a long time for me to get into it. Honestly, I really couldn't get into it. There were several parts where I would have to reread the section, because my mind would just wander off, and then I'd be like, what did I just read? I don't even know. So I'd have to reread some parts. I just couldn't get into it. It kind of bored me, and the only reason I even got through it and I finished it, I didn't DNF it, and the only reason for that was because I was also listening to it on audio. I was hoping the audio would help me with this. It helped me finish it, but it didn't help me like it anymore. So, the characters I just thought were the girls in here, the sisters, were just not really fleshed out. I didn't think they had any real depth to them, and because there were a lot of them, there were 12 sisters, so I felt like it was really easy to confuse them with one another, except for the really younger ones. And then the other thing that kind of confused me about this was just some of the, like, pretty much the way they lived. It's like they talked about in here having to wear hand-me-downs, and they made references to them being poor, but I'm like, okay, they're princesses, their dad is the king, they live in this huge magical castle. How is it that they're poor and wearing hand-me-downs? That just didn't really make sense to me, but okay. And then the end was also a little bit confusing as to what exactly happened with one character towards the end. I was like, I'm not sure exactly what happened with him. I don't think it was explained very well. So I wish I enjoyed it more, but I didn't. Hopefully, someone else will love it or like it, Maybe it'll be for someone else, but it just wasn't the book for me. Then the next book that I have to show you guys is The Last Ever After by Simone Chinaney. And this is the third and final book in the School for Good and Evil trilogy. I really enjoyed this. I gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. I felt like this one, I really enjoyed. It's not my favorite. I think my favorite is still the first one, but I did really enjoy this one. I think this one took the story into interesting places, and I wasn't entirely sure what was going to happen. So I really like that. There were some major reveals in this one that I just did not see coming towards the end. I was like, what? What? So, yeah, there's some major reveals I didn't see coming. And even looking back, I don't think I would have predicted it. Even looking back, I was like, I don't think there was any hints. Subtle or not subtle, I don't think there was much hints that that's the way this was gonna go down. So, yeah, I like that about this. I also like that we got to see Sophie and Agatha's parents' stories. I thought their parents' stories was really interesting to read about, and the way that we get to see how their parents' stories had a major role in their story, and Sophie and Agatha's story. Their parents' story plays a major role, had major influence in theirs, and that was just interesting to kind of see the backstory and how everything all started out. I did have some mixed feelings during parts of this book just because of the message I thought it was portraying. Because, like, at some points of the book, I thought, like, the message being portrayed was, like, you have to have a soulmate or true love or prince, whatever, to be happy. You can't be happy on your own. You have to have another guy to make you happy or complete you or whatever. And then at another point, it kind of seemed like it was saying that, you know, you only have one soulmate or true love out there, and if you can't be with them, well then, oh well, you'll never ever find love. And I just didn't like either of those messages. But luckily, by the end of it, it made it pretty clear that's not what they were trying to say or get at. Which is good, because I was like, yeah, no, not agreeing with those at all. But that's not the message that we get by the end of this. And so I did like what it had to say by the end. And I guess the one last thing I'll kind of say about this was I liked seeing the original fairy tales in here, like Cinderella. We get to see her backstory, and there's a huge twist to Cinderella's story, and I really enjoyed the twist that they brought into it in this one. Even though it was a tragic turn, a tragic twist, I still really enjoyed it, and I was like, I like this story better than the original Cinderella story. I would love to read this one versus the original because it's so much more interesting. And I really like that, and I wanted to see that with more of the original fairy tales. I wanted to see the backstory, and I hope he does. I hope the author does like a novella or a companion book to this world, and shows us like the original stories that are in here, like Cinderella and Snow White and all of that, and kind of see like, you know, their backstory and the twist that he gives them, because I think it was really creative and imaginative, and I think that was one of my favorite parts in here, was learning about Cinderella's story. And yeah, so I wanted more of that. So that's pretty much all I've got to say for Last Ever After. Like I said, I really enjoyed it. Gave it 4.5 out of 5 stars. So the next book that I'm going to show you guys that I read in April, or actually I think I started it at the end of March, and I finished beginning of April, I want to say. Or maybe I read it beginning of April, I don't know. But either way, I finished it in April. And this was actually our book of the month for my book club for March. We didn't meet till mid-April, which is why I read it in April. But it was our book of the month for March, and that was Heartless by Marissa Meyer. And this is a Queen of Hearts inspired story. The Queen of Hearts from Alice in Wonderland. And I gave this a 4 out of 5 stars. I do have a review of this already up. I will leave that link down below so you guys can check it out. So yeah, I'm not going to really get into it since I have a review of it. But yeah, I gave this 4 out of 5 stars. And then the last 2 books I'll show you are kind of rereads for me. I wanted to reread one of my favorite series, so that's what I started doing in April. And it was because I was talking to a friend of mine about the series, and I was telling him about it, and talking to him about it made me super excited and wanted to read them again because I love them. So of course, after I talked to him, I had to come home and pick up Clockwork Angel by Cassandra Clare. And it's the first book in the Infernal Devices trilogy. If you guys been on my channel for a while now, you guys know this is one of my all-time favorite series. And rereading the series, I'm reminded so much why I love the series. I love it so much. The characters are just amazing, and I love them, and I wish I was in their world so I can be best friends with them. But yes, love the characters, love the story. One of my all-time favorites. So much. And the last book I'm going to show you guys is Clockwork Prince by Cassandra Clare. This is book 2 in the Infernal Devices trilogy. Again, love it so much. Although I will say, the first time I read Clockwork Prince, towards the end, something happens that just pissed me off so much. I wanted to chuck this book across the room. And rereading it a second time, I still got angry and upset, even though I know it's going to turn out well in the third book and I'm going to love it. But I still got so irritated and annoyed with how the second one ended. I was just like, ugh, no. But I still love it. It breaks my heart, but I still love it. So those were the two that I got through in April. I did read Clockwork Princess, but I didn't get to it till beginning of May, so I'll talk about Clockwork Princess in my May wrap-up. But, I love this series. Yes, if you haven't read them, read them. Read them. They're so awesome. I don't know how many times I have to recommend them. I cannot recommend them enough, but they are amazing, so you need to read them. So that's pretty much it for my April wrap up. So those are the books that I read in April. Let me know in the comments below if you've read any of these books. Let me know what you thought of them. And yeah, I will see you guys soon with another video. Bye.